Good evening. At long last, here is my long-awaited final project for N514. The project you're about to hear I call Playing the Storm. It was inspired by a sample that I created using the reverb of my guitar amplifier when it was dropped. It's an absolutely particular, wonderful sound when a spring reverb gets dropped, and the sound to me, when sampled, sounds very much like thunder. I used it as the basis for all of my sounds. Moving from top to bottom, we can examine the tracks and look at what samples were utilized to create them. Track 1 is labeled Feedback Drone. This was a recording of feedback generated by aiming a hollow-bodied guitar at an electric tube-based guitar amplifier with a condenser-based mic and a cardioid pattern pointing directly at it. These sounds, these feedback sounds, were then laid into the EXS sampler as shown here. 6 different samples were layered over different zones of the keyboard and were combined to create a MIDI instrument that sounds like this. Our second track was created in a similar fashion. However, it is the raw audio rather than being processed through a sampler. For the purpose of this sample, the pattern on the microphone was switched to a figure-8 sound as to create a phase relationship disparity between the sound coming through the guitar and through the amplifier. Please listen here. Track 4 is a recording using a sampled sound of a harmonics played on various strings of the guitar. These harmonic recordings were then time-stretched. The harmonics, in their pure sampled form, are then used to introduce the harmonics laid into the EXS sampler, shown here. The sample-based track sounds like this. Track number 5 is a sample instrument made using samples of various chords being played on the guitar. The samples, when laid into the sampler, sounds like this. The previously mentioned inspiration for this recording, namely the reverb crash, is found in track number 6. Again, in this case, the sound of the reverb crash has been processed through the EXS sampler. 2 different samples were used to create this sound. Track number 7 is a sampler featuring samples of various strings on the guitar being tuned into standard tuning. The time stretching facilities in Logic appear once again in track 8, where the raw audio of tuning the guitar is used. Also utilized here is a pretty complex soundscape preset channel, which uses reverbs, delays, and limiters to process the time stretch tuning audio. Lastly, representing the impact of various raindrops and other incidents in a rainstorm, you'll hear several percussive sounds, raw samples of the latches on a guitar case. The latch percussion is processed using a tape delay. I hope you will enjoy playing the storm.